I'm going to make lunch for my family and vlog a little bit because I'm a bit annoyed with some of the attitudes that I've seen online lately. And I'm saying this not as coming from a perch of piety at all. Nothing I'm saying means that I wasn't guilty of doing the same thing. And it's because a lot of us fall prey into what I see is like group brainwash strategy. And when I say that, I mean it. I watch how we see it in the media talking about we're at war and we need strike fighters and our politicians aren't fighting for us. And you sit there and you think about it and you start going, yeah, we need fighters. Why aren't the Dems fighting hard enough for us? We're not electing warriors. But on top of that, something that I've noticed is that we deflect from what we could do to actually get legislation passed. And instead, the media and social media, especially, love to frame that as promises. Oh, we're not getting the stuff that was promised to us. And let me tell you something about legislation. It is an idea that's formed by people who want to do better for all of us. But unless we get enough people who actually want to do the same things to pass it, all it can do is rest in our legislative coffers. So when you say stuff like the Voter Rights Act or the anti-lynching bill or any gun legislation is a promise, you are using an emotional response fueled by the media and people who want to keep us distracted from the fact that we have a party that totally doesn't want us to pass these things. It's frustrating because we should know better, but we don't. We parrot a lot of what these people want us to. Because when we're angry and sniping at each other, we're not electing people who can get the job done. Another thing I see is this whole fixation on wanting a politician that's well known, that's photo quality, that's a rock star, instead of having boring people who can get the job done. The only reason why I know the names of my local elected officials is because I reach out to them, because I know when I reach out to them, not only will I get a response, but they have a team of people doing the work. You might not know Senator Stabenow. You might not know Representative Guerrera because they're not like the squad who are out there constantly giving interviews and doing stuff that seem really controversial. They're not trying to be famous for their jobs. They're trying to get jobs done. It is called being a politician. But too many of you, ever since we elected an actor first to be our president, which didn't go well for those of you who lived under the Reagan administration, even though they tried to whitewash that history and make him a revered politician, people were living in cars and we had mass graves from AIDS victims. So, yeah, it wasn't a good time. But some of you want to elect rock stars, and I get it. After Barack Obama, the bar was set high for Democrats. But I'd rather have a boring, unknown politician that keeps us in stability than to constantly be looking for the next Barack Obama. Because unicorns are rare, y'all. They are a rare beast in mythology, and they are a rarity in reality. And too many of you are looking for your next rock star instead of realizing that legislation doesn't need somebody who's louder than the stuff they want to get passed. It bothers me that too many people act like this is normal. You try to normalize an emotional response to legislation not getting passed instead of internalizing that and going, well, what can I do? A lot of you think just electing a president is enough without realizing that your state and local legislators can stymie a lot of progress. Some of you are really at the kiddie table of politics. And I know you get upset and defensive when you hear me say that. That's not my problem. I vote. I make sure I vote in every election that counts. I have moved in several states in this nation. Every time I move, I register to vote. I have plenty of reasons and excuses why I could get out of voting. I have mental health issues. Being in crowds made me anxious, but I did it anyway. Why? Because even though I don't have politicians who even view me as a person half the time, because you rarely get people who even recognize disabled Americans in this country, if I can get a politician that can pass laws that make sure that people don't mess with my income, if I can get a politician that helps ensure that people that look like me aren't the targets of legalized lynching, that helps me more than just my own pet issues. Oops. Good Lord. I'm doing this on the phone because I'm about to go exercise. Real progress comes from electing people who want to get the job done. And I know it's hard for some of you to believe because we get spoon fed by corporate owned news entities and people with agendas on what we should be voting for. And it's always people that only want to amplify their pet peeves. And the problem with stuff like that is that their pet peeves tend to draw or completely eclipse the needs of everybody. These people don't care if we're all in a good place. They just want what they want, whether it's student loan forgiveness or free whatever, which is never free because the money's got to come from somewhere. They are not coming at this in an honest or actual progressive light. They just want what they want and fuck everybody else until they get what they want. They go on these media programs talking about, oh, stuff ain't getting done in 6 months. You have 4 years of abject, unethical behavior, grifting, and death. Need I remind you that this pandemic that we are all still living under didn't have to be, but we had such incompetent idiots in leadership positions for 4 years before we got to stability. And I see a lot of people trying to mess that up, and I'm sick of it. If you want progress, you need to be focused not on those who are noisy with bullhorns, but those who are actually going to get work done, whether we see it or not. I am tired of people not understanding that most politics are boring. That's why we pass it off to other people. If we were really the advanced society that some of you like to delude yourself into believing we are, we wouldn't need government. But we're not there. And we need leadership because a lot of us are lazy. And we don't want to think about who will build the roads. We don't want to think about who will fund the schools. We want to elect people who will do that. But some of you start conflating emotional stuff, which I as a black woman have never been able to do, into your politics. And I see it all the time. I see it when you say things like, we're at war. No, we're not. Yeah, there are some really loud, violent people with access to weapons that if we could elect people who want to limit that access to weapons, we could get some stuff done. But no, you would rather argue on social media about what's getting done and what's not getting done. And you know what that does? That stagnates us because you're so busy talking about promises that you didn't get, that you don't get out to the polls to elect people that can get the job done. Then you wonder why we have bills that could help us sitting in legislation not getting passed. And then you blame the actual people who are actually getting the draft done of this legislation. But when they don't have the numbers to get it passed, which is basic civics, what do you expect? It's exhausting. It is exhausting seeing people who should know better. You are smart enough and old enough to know better. Parrot this rhetoric over and over again. Then take that anger and turn it into apathy and like, well, nothing's going to change, so why should I vote? And don't think I don't see you. Don't think I don't see the type of people who use the I voted sticker from the national election, but couldn't tell you who the heck is their local representatives. Yous are the ones who are causing the stall. And yous are the same ones who get on Twitter talking about we are at war and do something. You do something. Because if you currently don't have a Dem leading you in your state and local administration, chances are you're the reason why we're not getting the gun legislation passed, or the Voter Rights Act, or the George Floyd Policing Act passed. So if you're one of those people who are in those states, and I'm not talking to you who are disenfranchised before that gets started, I am talking to the do something, I don't have time to vote types who have all that smoke for the people getting the work done, but nothing for the people who are actually stymieing progress that you claim to want. You want free college, which won't actually ever be free because the money got to come from somewhere. You want health care? Organize. Get the people that you claim are with you who have enough time to troll people on Twitter and take selfies everywhere to actually vote. We are our own worst enemies with this nonsense, and I'm sick of sitting on the sidelines doing my part, watching people who don't do theirs loudly and wrongly accuse the party who's actually getting work done of not doing that. It's tiring, y'all. You should know better at this point. We have 4 years of deadly incompetence. And I see a lot of people looking to usher us back to that because I guess it sells. Ratings are skyrocketed for news programs when the sky is constantly falling. I'm tired of it. I want to see stability, quiet, peaceful stability. I'm sick of the war talk. I'm sick of the divide. And I'm sick of the do something types that do nothing. And if you are with me on this, get to know who represents you. And if you have somebody who is running against them, even if you think they can't win, support them anyway. Because when we turn out, we make things happen. But if we sit at home just bitching and not getting anything done, guess what? Nothing gets done. It shouldn't take an old lady like me ranting at you to understand the situation. But I won't stop if that's what's necessary to get this done. I'm just tired of seeing the self-defeating prophecies that we keep on going with our country. Now I'm about to feed my family, go exercise. I've got D&D later, so I'm excited about that. I hope y'all have a good Sunday. But I'm really tired of seeing this constant nonsense being passed as normalcy. Check what you're doing to make sure progress happens before you go bitching about what's not being done.